I love Noita. Now, before I go any further, and it might be a little counterintuitive, but I'm going to start the video off with a minor spoiler. I genuinely think Noita is the kind of game that is best experienced completely blind for the first many hours, but if I'm going to try to convince you to even try the game in the first place, I feel like the hook of this video should really show off the sheer scope of this game. So if you want to avoid literally any spoilers, go ahead and click ahead, but I think this is a minor spoiler at worst. Still here? Cool. Let me go ahead and show you just the deceptively massive scope of this game. Noita is a roguelike, and each time you die, you'll start right outside of this cave, right here. It leads to the mines, which is the first of the 7 main biomes. It's a manageable area with enemies that shoot fairly telegraphed yet potently damaging attacks that you'll still want to avoid. Did you make it through the mines? Nice. Now you're on to the coal pits. This biome is similar to the last in theme, but it's a bit more dangerous. Enemies come in larger numbers and are overall a bit more threatening. Still, the area is able to be cleared even with the most basic of builds if you play your cards right. Just don't get cocky. Next up is the snowy depths, and trust me on this, you will die here many times. The difficulty steps up a notable amount, with new enemy types that both pack a punch and will catch you by surprise. Watch out because the enemies even off screen have a chance of sniping you down before you even know what was coming. Play it safe and don't just jump straight down any deep crevices without knowing what's at the bottom because this biome is notably bigger and harder to navigate. Now you better have a solid build going in because we're moving into the Hisi base, a biome densely packed with enemies, difficult terrain, and traps and bombs galore. You can't even dig through the ground here to avoid most fights, with most builds at least, and just about everything here wants you dead. Well, most everything. I like these guys. The underground jungle is up next, and I hope you are fireproof. A lot of the terrain here catches fire, and a lot of the terrain also wants you dead. From the plant life to even the wildlife, everything here will attempt to shoot or maim you in some way or another. So keep your distance, especially from these leggy boys. They're a little faster than they look. So now you've cleared the jungle and you're into the vault. A rusted underground factory filled to the brim with deadly enemies and materials. Pools of acid, freezing vapor, laser beams, toxic sludge, and lots of powerful enemies. I'm honestly surprised you made it this far, so give yourself a pat on the back because it is not going to get any easier. At all. Welcome to the Temple of the Art. If you're not dead yet, you're probably going to die now. Traps on the walls that want to shoot you, enemies with health bars far higher than yours, and some enemy designs that look almost as threatening as they actually are. The walls cannot be dug through unless you've brought some ridiculously powerful spells, so get ready to face your problems head on. Don't make enemies with the wrong enemy either, because they will chase you down until they feel they've gotten even with you. Trust me on that one. Wait, you're still not dead? Well, time for the final boss then. I won't show you any more of the fight than I'm showing you right here because I think it's best experienced raw and on your first time making it there. Also, you'll die. I just want to remind you of that part. Now, all of this, these 7 biomes and this final boss that I just walked you through, this took me 42 hours to get through. 42 hours it took me to get from this point right here down to the final boss down here. And this is the entire map of the game. There are countless mini-bosses, secrets, bits of lore, and hidden gems throughout the world for you to discover. There's even stuff up here, and after nearly 150 hours, I still haven't made it up there for more than a couple of minutes without noping out of there and running for my life. And even more crazy, this isn't even where the map technically ends. There are infinite parallel universes you can travel to in either direction if you wanted, with even more crazy enemies and even more intimidating challenges to face. This is why I wanted to start off the video with something that some of you might consider to be a spoiler. This game is huge. It is challenging, it is rewarding, and it is very, very much so worth the price tag of $20 USD, in my opinion at least. If you can stomach a challenging experience, you will get more than your money's worth out of this game, and then some. But there are plenty of other reasons I love Noita besides the map. And next up on the list of reasons Noita is cool is one of the main topics marketed as a selling point, that being the physics of the game. Each pixel is simulated, which not only pushes the usefulness of the beautiful pixel art even further, but creates a very tangible feeling world that begs you to interact with it on many, many levels. This makes Noita one of the most immersive pixel art worlds I've ever experienced, especially when you dive into how certain spells and elements interact with one another. Use water or blood to solidify magma, burn flammable plants and wooden structures, even electrify enemies or yourself standing on conductive metals. The list goes on. There's even a perk that electrifies everything you touch, meaning hopping into water or jumping on a metal girder fries all enemies in your path, but that's more for you to discover than I'm going to go into. This idea of simulated pixels is one of the most well-known aspects of Noita, so I don't want to linger on it too much longer, but I seriously can't talk about Noita without mentioning it. There's way more depth to this game than what just the Steam store page alone lets on, but features like these just give the game so much personality, I honestly have a hard time going back to more static worlds in other similar games now. Now, the environment is cool and all, but you can't have an interactive environment without spells to interact with, and oh man, the spellcrafting system in this game just makes for such an enjoyable, in-depth, it's crazy. We'll start with the wands that you pick up throughout the game, as they're the relatively simple part. The wands either randomly cast spells or cast things in order. They mostly cast one spell at a time. They have a cast time between spells, a recharge time after casting all the spells, maximum mana, mana recharge rates, a certain amount of spells they can hold, represented by these empty squares, and the accuracy of all spells you cast. These are the weapons of the game, and they'll all function relatively the same at face value, but it's the insane amount of spells that you can combine within them that makes the spellcrafting of this game absolutely genius. There are many, many spells in this game, and too many for me to even begin listing. I haven't even discovered all the spells yet, that's how many there are. But categorically, you have spells that range from basic projectiles with widely different speeds, explosives that risk the life of both your enemies and yourself, teleport spells, matter creation, companion summoners, utility spells, passive spells, and an absolute plethora of other modifiers. And I think that these are the ones that really make the difference here, because depending on how you combine them, your results will vary wildly. There's seriously too many combinations, to the point where there are community created mods that act as not only a sandbox style tester, but a tutorial on how the many combinations can work with each other. Mods like Spell Lab give you a specific challenge with damage thresholds or a cast per minutes to hit, and it's up to you to essentially debug this wand until you're able to find the most optimal combination of spells. By the way, this entire mod is available on the Steam Workshop, so check it out if you're interested. But Purple, if the game is so good, then why didn't they just add a tutorial to the game? I don't think it's necessary. I genuinely think that this is kind of the charm of Noita. If you want to take the tutorial, by all means do it. Dive into it, learn more about this game if you want. But part of the joy of this game, or part of the reason I love it, is the game doesn't explain anything. It plops you in with no tutorial outside of the keybinds that you'll need, and it just allows you to experience spellcrafting, the physics, interactions, and enemy habits through experience. In a world with RPGs that insist on hour-plus long tutorials that feel not only drawn out but outright unnecessary, it's so refreshing to play a game that not only throws the hand-holding out the window, but its concerns for your very life as well. When you die in this game, that's it. You just die. Unlike roguelite games like Hades or The Binding of Isaac, where you're encouraged to unlock rewards and upgrades for your next playthrough, Noita's rewards are mostly intrinsic. I recognize that might sound disheartening or even corny to say for some of you, but the biggest reward for me was learning how this challenging world's physics and enemies behaved, quite similar to how inquiry-based learning works. I would be presented with a problem, or straight up death in most cases, let's be real. Question how I could approach things better the next time and get better at the game as I learned more and more about it. I got better at spellcrafting. I started to combine different potions to keep myself safer. I understood the physics of the game, found secrets, and I saw objective progress because of it. In my first 10 hours, I could barely get to, let alone through, the third biome. But by hour 42, I defeated the final boss, which turns out to not even be the most difficult boss that's out there, but that's for another discussion. And by hour 100, I was traveling to parallel universes with the ability to drill through nearly any matter, eviscerating low-level enemies, teleporting through walls, fighting hidden bosses with secret wands. God, the things you can do in this game are so cool. Noita even handles its lore and storytelling in a similar manner, as most of it is completely optional, hidden away deep in the depths of this game's expansive world for devoted, secret-loving fans to discover. I think many people would agree that Skyrim's questlines and writing was less than stellar in most instances, but I quite enjoyed a lot of the journals and notes I stumbled across that really showed Bethesda's knack for environmental storytelling. Finding all those journals in the lighthouse as I ventured deeper and deeper into those underground caves will forever be the most memorable unofficial side story in Skyrim. Despite the fact that Lisa the Painful's DLC straight up spells out the complete lore and backstory of most of the universe, I seriously enjoyed how the original not only hinted at these possible explanations of the current state of the world through subtle imagery and Easter eggs you really needed to intentionally seek out, and it's one of my favorite games of all time because of that reason. Now, I do need to put a quick little note in here because Noita probably isn't for everyone. The same reason I feel it's best to experience this game completely blind, at least until you get close to beating the first boss, it might be the same reason people find this game irredeemably frustrating. You're gonna die. A lot. And if you're not the kind of masochistic person to really enjoy a game like that, you're gonna have a bad time. Now, if you're a roguelite lover that enjoys experience points, leveling up, and building your character's power, Hades is another amazing game I still need to make a video on. But despite how much I loved my time on Hades, I found myself regularly dragged back into the raw challenge that Noita provided, something most games can't always promise. I love this game, I really do. It is one of the few games lately to really capture my interest, and if it's the kind of game that's up your alley, I highly recommend you give it a shot. It is challenging, it is rewarding, and it's got so much depth in it between the gameplay, the spell mechanics, even just the map itself has so much to check out, so check it out. Trust me, if it's up your alley, worth a shot. Now, I'm actually very close to 5,000 subscribers, so if you could click the subscribe button, it would really, really mean a lot to me, and I'd seriously appreciate that. Either way, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. This is Purple, and I still have no idea how to end a video.